excited. So, welcome into the podcast today, the gorgeous Alexandra. And Alexandra and I met literally last week at my event here in Bangkok.
That's true.
And what I love the most about Alexandra, apart from like your gorgeous energy, your beauty, all of it, is that even before the event, you came up and said hello.
Yes.
So I was setting up, I was, people were walking into our house, and Alexandra went straight over and you were like, I have read about you, I'm super excited about this. And I'm like, I don't know who you are, but I'm also excited to meet you. But I really loved that you immediately brought your full self into the space.
Oh.
Whereas a lot of the time, right, we might be going to an event, we might be, maybe we do a little bit of research about the event and we might be excited about meeting that person, but very rarely do I know anyone who walks straight over and introduce themselves. So I thought it was really like super cool, and it also made me feel really happy because I was like, wow, you really wanted to go to this evening, and that was super special. And then obviously we met up again afterwards, and I decided that Alexandra is so exciting and interesting that we should have a chat today. But Alexandra, I know you're from Greece. I know lots of beautiful things about you, but can you introduce yourself to our listeners today?
Absolutely. And also I want to just say that I'm very, very grateful to be here today with you. The event I attended, the workshop you organized was one of the most soulful workshops I've ever been, and I'm so blessed. So I feel so thankful. At the very first moment I saw you, I thought to myself, okay, we have so much in common. So I thought to myself, I'll introduce myself and let's see what happens. And I guess I'm very much open to miracles. So when I saw you, that moment felt like a serendipity moment to me. And I was right, because now here we are, isn't it? It's a beautiful thing. So a little bit about me. As you said, I'm from Greece. I live in London. I'm a mental fitness architect for corporates. So I work, up to this day, I have worked with 50 global organizations, thousands of employees. I'm also a speaker and summits and conferences, and I organize retreats all over the world in magical places like Jamaica and now Thailand, for example, right? So yeah, and I'm so excited to be in Thailand at this time of the year because I'm about to organize a series of retreats in Koh Samui next month, and I'm so excited about it.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much for being here and giving us a window into the being that you are beyond all of these incredible things that you do as well. So, Alessandra, let's take you back in time a little bit. So, where were you born, and what kind of family system were you born into?
Yeah, that's a great question, actually. I was raised in Kalamata, which is a tiny city in Peloponnese, by a single mom. And I'm the oldest we are 4 siblings, so I'm the oldest. And I guess one of the most wonderful things I've experienced as a kid was freedom. So because my mother had to do 3 jobs to raise us, we were free to structure our lives the way we wanted, with all the pros and cons, of course. But I'm very blessed because my mother actually helped us and inspired us to be more independent, autonomous, and to chase our dreams, to be unapologetically our true selves. So yeah, I guess that's a little bit of context.
That was the beginning. I love it. And then from there, because obviously we had the chat the other day, so I know that you didn't start out going, I want to be a wellness coach or a mental fitness expert. So I remember you shared that you used to be a TV presenter. So from being, let's take you back in time, you were a teenager in Greece. When did this thing about maybe being on TV, maybe presenting, when did that come about?
So when I graduated, I was from high school, I went to study in Thessaloniki, which is the largest the second largest city in Greece. And that's where I studied marketing, and I studied fashion and styling. So I did 2 different diplomas at the same time. So there was a guy, and we became best friends. I loved him loads. And one day he said to me, "You are one of the most courageous, brave, wild people I have ever met. So I bet you're going to say yes if I tell you that there is kind of a trial thing they do in a TV channel here. And I want to bring you with me so we can do this together. What do you think?" And back then I was like 22. And I said, "Yeah, of course, I'll go, I'll try. Let's see what happens." And I remember when I did the trial thing with the camera just in front of me, I didn't feel like stressed or anxious. I just felt like this is a game, and let me just have most of the time here, let me just enjoy and embrace each and every moment. And by the end of that, I got the job, and the role was to be one of the 3 main presenters, TV presenters on a daily magazine now, where we were discussing things about lifestyle and social issues, and we had like a nice conversation, but more like targeted to millennials and Gen Zs. And yeah, I had the best time ever, and I'm so glad I just decided to go for it, you know.
Sure. And then what was the next pivotal moment? Because obviously, if you're there, I'm assuming you would have had opportunities to go into more TV, and that could have been an amazing lifestyle, etc. But something within you was like, no, let's try this other thing. What happened?
It's interesting because when I was at that TV channel, at the same time I was working for a magazine, the biggest magazine in the city, and I was doing events. So the thing was that I ended up being very well connected with everyone. Everyone knew me, you know, like they used to say, "Hey, would you like a coffee? I saw your thing the other day and I loved it, and I loved what you said about XYZ." So I had that kind of platform, and I was so grateful about it, to be so well connected and to get to know so many incredible people. But at the same time, I remember like I was waking up every morning looking myself at the mirror, and I was like, if in 5 years I wake up and I look at the same mirror again, where will I be? And to be honest with you, I saw myself doing exactly the same things, being exactly in the same kind of scenarios and the same job. Nothing different. It's as if there was no growth, there was no evolution in my life. And at that point I said to myself, "Alex, would you like to spend the rest of your life in the same kind of 3D experience, or you want to taste something else, something more? And even if there is risk and pain and discomfort, but would you like to just give it a go, try, explore?" And I said, "Yes, I want to do that." And I remember I applied to do a master's in London, and at the same time the director of this TV channel said to me, "In a few months' time, we want you to do your own show, the morning show of this channel." And that was a huge opportunity, an incredible opportunity for me. And I said, "You know what? I've made my decision and I'm going to London." It's like, are you nuts? You worked so hard to get to this point. But yeah, I just followed my calling and my gut instinct, and I did what was right for me, what felt right, and I'm so glad I did.
I really love that, and I really love the image of you standing in front of the mirror. It's really funny because it's such a similarity with me. Like, if you look back over my life, I have also have many different careers and peaked, you know, in many, like I'm super blessed, I'm really grateful, all of that. But coming to the same point where I sort of zoomed out of my life. We're really high up in the building right now, like, which I love. So I felt like I was zooming out and I was looking down on my life. And I was looking at the people and the structures and my daily life. And I could see me walking in and out of the same doors, seeing the same people, having the same role in life. And I was like, I no longer feel alive. Like that image of that sense of, it wasn't even a sense of security, but where a lot of other people would have seen that as success and security, right? And safety. I saw it just like you. I saw it as a prison. I was like, now there's no growth, right? And then of course, you know, I'm sure it's the same for you. Like part of your brain is always like, are you losing it? This is so many people's dream. What you're describing is other people's dream. Are you, you know? And then at least I can only talk for me, Alexandra. But for me, like at times, my ego would be like, are you so traumatized that you can only exist in chaos? That you constantly have to, you know, climb the next mountain, and if there's not struggle enough, you don't feel like there's enough expansion. You know, have you gone through so much shit, so much hardship in early years of your life that you can no longer exist without the pressure? You know, like, and it's good to reflect for oneself, right? Yeah. Just sharing all of this, because that thing of that moment of you looking in the mirror and like you said, I see the same face. And if I see the same face and the same scenario in 5 years, that doesn't make me feel alive. It makes me feel dead inside, right? And this is a really courageous, beautiful thing. And I think it's just something for all listeners, whether or not you were, you know, the circumstances might have been different, but I think everyone can relate to that thing where you look into your future, you're shaking hands with future self, right? And that should feel exciting. That should feel like future self is like pulling us forward and going, yes, come with me, let's play. Or whatever it is you want in your life, right? But if it feels like future self is like, I can barely move anymore because I'm just stuck. Yeah. Like, so that's like a really similar, like, it feels like a really similar, like, important moment. So there you are, you made your decision, which is so beautiful, so courageous, and you decided to go to London. Yeah. So what year did you arrive in London?
So I arrived in 2013, and I will never forget that, you know, in the very beginning, you know, you go through this excitement phase where everything looks perfect, for real. And then slowly but surely, the disappointment, you know, kicks in the sense that all your traumas, all your triggers
are still there.
The shadows.
You're like, I didn't think I got them in the suitcase. I thought I left them behind.
Yes. And they scream louder than ever because that's something I didn't know. I had to experience to understand that when you are on a new place, in outside your comfort zone, all your insecurities, your shadows, the things that hold you back will actually surface, and they will take a more protagonistic role in your day-to-day life. And then to the point that it might turn into an existential crisis. Because for me, it was like when I left Greece, I left my ego back. You know, the TV presenter, the social connector, the person who knew everyone, and my car, my nice apartment, and my friends. So my ego was back there, and here I was in London trying to figure out everything from the beginning. So it was like a restart, and it was painful. I won't lie, it was so painful. I remember that first year when I arrived in London, that was the first time I experienced depression, panic attacks, and insomnia all together. To the point that I even questioned my decision to go to London at first place. But I stayed, and I just decided to be in this space and in this discomfort until it was gone. But it wasn't easy, I won't lie. And I know many people, they say, oh, you know what, just want to restart my life in a new country, or to restart my life in a new job. And I'm not one of those people who recommend it. If you are asking for advice to restart your life, my feeling is that you're not ready. But if your entire body screams and every cell of your body wants you to restart, and there is no one to go and ask advice for because you don't feel like you need an advice from anyone, and you just go for it, yes, then that's your path. But if you feel like you have to get a permission from someone else or guidance or advice, then I feel like you're not there yet, or you're not ready. And because I know how hard it is, I never kind of prescribe this life path because it's tough. However, as I said before, if your instinct wants it so badly and you feel like you're ready, just go for it. But go all in. Do not half-ass it or whatever. That's my only tip, I guess, from my experience.
No, I think it's super valid, and also just want to take a breath.
Yes.
Because that is a really big share and a really big experience. And, I also came to London by myself when I was 16, right? So I can really resonate and relate to that. And I personally, I'd left Denmark in a complete despair. I wasn't seeing my dad. I was really scared of bumping into him. There was a big court case. At the same time, I'd left the Royal Danish Ballet, not because I wanted to, but because being in that space, we had a new teacher, and it turned into being me, feeling really supported, really on path. And then with this new teacher who just, bless her, but emotionally abused me for 2 years, to the point where I had no joy. So when I left Denmark, it wasn't like, yay, go me. It was, I cannot wait to get out of here quick enough. What path can I take? I got a scholarship, I went over there. So my point is, circumstances when I was so young brought me to a point within myself where I was like, this is the best decision for me right now. But I am also jumping out of a burning house. So, and I think, not saying that yours was the same, but what I am saying is, what I'm hearing is that if you are going to make such a big change in your life, actually any change, doesn't have to be you move country, any big change, you do it because you can't not do it. You don't do it because you're like, oh, this could be kind of fun.
Yes.
Like, because it can sound so easy, right? Oh, London, exciting, huh? And look at me, I left high amazing career behind because I'm so cool, right? No, like, it's because you came to a place within yourself where you could no longer, where existing was no longer enough.
Yeah.
So when you reach that place, and that takes so much courage to have that sense of radical honesty with oneself, it says so much about you as a person, Alexandra. And I think that key message for listeners out there, of course, follow your instincts, follow your gut, follow your dreams, try to blow air and aliveness into your dreams, but do it from that grounded perspective, that embodied experience where you're doing something because you can't not do it. So it's kind of similar, when people are like, oh, I should have kids because everyone have kids. But actually, like, have kids because you can't not have, it's such a big desire.
Yeah.
And then, of course, if the desire is there and, you do it, you could have come to London and you could have gone, oh my God, this is just too intense. Fine, you can change your mind, follow that. But like, really, with the big decisions in life, and I think it's such a key message. Yeah. Do it because you can't not do it. And it's the same thing, like, I do for a living what I love, you do for a living what you love. But that is not an easy path. I've been self-employed my whole life. You also for a long time. And it's the path, it is the path for me. I could not be any other way. My biggest value is freedom, right? And so freedom and connection, but not just connection to others, connection to me, but I'm doing it because I cannot not do it. Yeah. So, and that is a weird, wonderful thing, because on one hand, it's love, it's radical honesty. It's the courage to be with oneself authentically, even if it goes against everything else that anyone else tells you, society tells you, your family tells you, right? But you do it because you can't not do it.
Yeah, it's beautiful what you've said, because it just makes me thinking that when I left my city to go to London, I remember I sold my car I left my apartment, and I left the job. So I burned all the ships before I went. So I decided to go all in, because as you said, in my soul and my consciousness, there was no other path. That was the only path. But it's beautiful what you also said about being a freelancer or having your own consultancy, your own business. Again, I launched my consultancy like in 2020. And since then, I have so many women who are, joining my programs, or they see me on summits and conferences giving a keynote, or they might participate in one of my retreats. And they're like, Alex, it's so wonderful that you are doing what you love most in the world. And you do it, in the form of a job, not just a hobby. So how can I do the same? And again, I always say don't. I'm sorry if that doesn't sound too inspiring or motivational to people, but I want to be honest. I say don't. Just don't do it. And they look at me, because it's what we've discussed the other day. The amount of tears, sweat, blood, the sacrifices, the pain, the doubts, the loneliness. There's no way to describe those feelings, the intensity of those feelings I've experienced since I launched my business. The loneliest path I've ever followed was this. So since then, whenever I hear the question, shall I do something similar, I always say no. And again, if the same person will never have the need to ask the question and they just go and do it, I'll be like, I cheer for you, I'm your greatest cheerleader, how can I help? How can I inspire you? What do you need? Because I know this is her true path. But if there is doubts, or if there is already like second thoughts, I always say, you know what, maybe take some more time, reflect on it, and if in 6 months feels true, maybe that's a good idea. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Oh, I really love that. You know what, this is so good and so deep and so juicy, and above all so useful for everyone listening. Again, that thing of like you said, unless every single inch of your being is like, yes, and not even a yes because, it's so exciting, but that kind of deep, like, something needs to change. There's gotta be more to life. Right? Like, it usually comes from the really deep and, this stuff down here, right? But if it doesn't come from that, if it's just kind of a little, like a fleeting moment of, I saw Alexandra at that thing. This was so nice. Maybe I could do it. That doesn't mean it's not for you, but it does mean, like you said, I love that thing. Go deeper. Like, start to reflect. What is it I'm actually really longing for? What is it that I think I'm going to feel once I achieve XYZ? Because it's so, as human beings, we're so complex, we're so multi-layered, we're so deep. and it's always that thing, it might be. So also sometimes, it's really interesting, very basic example. So I used to be a ballerina, right? And people would see me dance and people would be like, I want to come and do dance class, right? And that's beautiful. Come along, do the dance class. And then I would sit down with some of my clients later on and I would ask them, what was the best thing? And they're like, yes. And then we had a coffee and this and that. And I realized actually, yes, they saw that image of me dancing and they're like, that could be kind of nice. But actually what they really wanted, it wasn't even that then I'll get the body, then I'll have the fun experience of dancing. They wanted community. So there's always something deeper, right? And unless we dare to sit down with ourselves and to the best of our ability within that moment in time, like try and meet what it truly is within you. What aspect of you is it that is truly longing for recognition? So maybe this woman was deeply lonely. She wanted to feel like she was part of a community, right? It's super nice, yes, right? But but there's other ways than like trying to be a ballerina at age 40, you know? Like, so I'm not saying there's nothing wrong with it, but it's the same thing as you. It's that thing of whatever it is we're looking for. And as human beings, we're always like, since day one of being alive, we're taught to look outside of ourselves in order to fulfill a deeper inside truth, right? So we always got that carrot. We're like, oh, there's more carrots over there. And actually we realized we didn't even want the carrot. We just wanted community, or we wanted a feeling of, you know, maybe finding a sense of standing on our own 2 feet, or whatever it is, you know. Maybe we actually just wanted, and again, I work a lot with clients with addictions, and you know, and they're like, yes, and the cigarette, and I'm like, actually, the cigarette gave you, it wasn't about the smoking. The cigarette gave you permission, a permission slip, a recognizable permission slip to take 5 minutes out for yourself every 2 hours at work. What if you could just go up to your boss and say, I'm a highly sensitive individual. I need to take 5 minutes every 2 hours for myself. Right? And I know a lot of listeners are like, oh, that would be amazing, but no one can say that. Please go out and say that. Be the first one to say that, because people need to say that. Like, so again, that understanding that very often what we think we see an image of someone and we're like, oh, I want that. But actually what we're really wanting is something much more attainable, actually much more easy to get.
Wow.
You know that thing?
So beautifully said. What you just, honestly, like last time we had that conversation, every single thing you say, it just blows my mind, because it just shows me how deep you have gone, so deep within yourself to come up with those deep thoughts. Because for real, I just while you were talking, I was just thinking about myself. And in my early days, before I launched my business, I thought what I wanted out of that business was the recognition, was a reputation, was other people to say, oh, you know what, Alex is doing retreat with Conrad Hilton Resorts in Thailand. Isn't that awesome? Or all I wanted to do was having people being, or my family being proud of me because I do a corporate program for Wells Fargo or Royal Bank of Canada. All I wanted was to hear from people, wow, I saw you on that big stage giving this talk. That was so inspiring. So my motive wasn't like aligned with my true need back then, because my true authentic need back then was to dive deeper into finding out more about how to regulate my nervous system. That's what I was longing for, right? But what I was thinking I needed was that approval from other people. And because my motive was that, every single thing I was doing in my early days was coming from this mindset, which was not the right mindset. And I got to realize that so soon, thanks to COVID, thanks to the pandemic, because when the pandemic hit, I already had 25 clients. I had a big portfolio of companies working with me. I was so excited about it. But again, it was for all the wrong reasons. It was because I was longing for that recognition from others. So I remember when the pandemic hit, I lost all my clients in one day. So here I was, jobless. I had that consultancy with no clients, no money, no recognition. And then that was the point, that kind of crisis, where I went deep into my soul and I did all that work with Joe Dispenza, his meditations, and I found my true motivation was to get access to the right tools, and then as soon as I was able to help myself, to go out there and help as many people as possible. So that became my mission. And when I got there, I was so much excited. I was so much more inspired. I was so energized. I just wanted to do that work every single day because there was a mission and there was a calling and there was a higher purpose. So then my life changed, because then I was able to sign big clients, but with the right incentive and with the right intention in mind. So then I was able to do better work, to work for bigger clients, to work for more employees, and then to make this my life's work, but in a way that was soulful and fulfilling for me too, not just for other people, but to me feel happy in this thing. You know what I mean? So it's beautiful. It's beautiful what you just said.
Aww.
What drives us.
All right. I really love that, and thanks for thanks for sharing all of that, Alexandra. It's an interesting one. And it's recognizing that it's available to us now. Like the feeling you are longing for, it's already inside of you. It's not outside of you. So we all have the same emotional states, right? We all have peacefulness, we have happiness, we have anger, we have frustration, we have sadness, we have grief, we have fun, we have mischief, we have curiosity, we have all of it, right? In all of this, yes, can be activated from outside, but it's only the activation from outside is almost like a sound. The sound touches something within you. It's like the sound, the situation, the person from outside, it triggers something within you. It taps a note. Ding, 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 right? But it's available anytime. And so, whatever it is, again, it's this nice dance between dreaming of future happiness or dreaming of future expansion. And even if it's in alignment with your own heart, right? Which you just described of going, I was doing something outside, externally, to feel differently internally. And then I realized actually, I could give myself what I need internally and then align that up with what I do externally, right? This is, much more, and also much more efficient. Like energy is like efficiency, it's science, it's like geometry, it makes sense. But that whole thing, I think we're always in a dance in life between having a dream, like future self is like, hey, come over here, right? And future self can like be like a dancer, like a fairy dancing through an enchanted forest, and it's exciting, and it's good to feel that pull of like, what if, like, that's a beautiful thing. But at the same time, being aware that whether or not we decide to dance with the fairy, and whether or not she actually takes us to that golden rainbow that we're hoping for, whether or not that even happens, this here and now moment where we're standing in the forest and we're seeing her in the horizon, the here and now moment where we just feel the grass underneath the feet and the coolness of the soil and the dirt and the birds singing in our ears and the sun rays on our skin, like, this is our life, right? This is it. And so to make a really tangible moment, I was sitting in London and I was doing all the stuff preparing for the next few months, and in my head I heard the story. I had this, my heart was like the here and now heart, my sort of the version of me that's just really comfortable being here. My inner child was like, hey, I want to go to Starbucks. And then like, not future, but like, ego Josie, like the very responsible, very like, we must be disciplined, was like, no, we make all this work, we earn all this money, and then one day we become someone that can go to Starbucks 500 times a day. So it was this, somehow part of my brain was like, this is not the life you can have yet. And what is very interesting is, and I told you this, right? I had created so much wealth for a very long time. And yet I was still not allowing myself to do that one thing I wanted to do, which was just go downstairs, not do any work, sit on the river, stare into the horizon, have a Starbucks, and just enjoy that. Like, that was the only moment I wanted. But I'm sharing just because it's so silly. We have to understand that we all have wonderful deep brains, and then we have really silly parts of our brain, right? The brain that tries to overprotect us. Yeah. So the ego is there trying to be like, whoop, I'm protecting you, Josie. Keep working very hard, and then one day you might be able to have 5 Starbucks in one day. For me, that was the symbol of like having made it. For some reason, in my childlike brain, there was an aspect of me that was like, and I think, long story short, I think it's because when I came to London, I was 16, I was by myself, and all my friends were always going to Starbucks. It was in the height, the peak season of Starbucks had just kind of arrived to London in early 2000s. Everyone was going to Starbucks, and Starbucks was really expensive for someone who was a student. So I would go there with people, but I would be the girl going up and getting 500 refills until the tea was so thin that I couldn't even taste it, right? But I didn't care about that because I wanted to hang out with my friends. But in the back of my mind, I always had this, like the dream is to be so financially successful that I don't have to constantly refill water into my tea bag. And it was so funny, it was so subconscious, I hadn't thought of it, but it had stuck with me for so many years. So there I was in my mid-30s, and there was a part of me that was like, you have to do all of this, and then one day you might be Starbucks girl, right? And then I was like, what the fuck? So I was like, paused everything, went down, got myself a massive Starbucks, and went and sat by the river, because we are not guaranteed anything. Like I could have died in the next hour. So it's always that dance of like, okay, yes, plan for the future in many, not just finances, but in all sort of ways. But don't forget to actually activate, like if you have the means to choose happiness, or to choose just one action that's going to make you feel like you're already living life the way you want to live it.
Yeah.
Do it now.
Yeah,
like,
gosh,
you know,
yes.
like,
do it now. That's
like,
so
who's
true.
Starbucks girl?
You know, I remember when I was in London and I graduated, I fell into a similar trap, in the sense that back then, as soon as I graduated, I was a paralegal assistant, and then I wanted to work in PR, and I wanted it so badly, and I wanted to work with the best clients for the top agencies in London. That became my obsession. I wanted to be that career girl who goes to award-winning ceremonies, has a champagne on a Monday afternoon with journalists and media people. I wanted to be that girl who is the fixer and secures all this great, amazing press for her clients. That was me. That's what I wanted. And I wanted it so badly that I didn't have friends. I didn't have personal life. I didn't care about my inner little child at all, and I just cared about getting there. And to be honest with you, like London rewarded that ambition and the drive. So very soon, like in a few years, I got there. And when I got there, I remember I looked myself at the mirror and I was like, you are living your dream. Like, why you're not happy? What's wrong with you? I was like, why are you so like a pathetic person, you know? Like, and I couldn't quite put my finger what was that, but I wasn't fulfilled. As if I was expecting something different to happen internally. But nothing was different. And it just reminds me how many people, they always want to be millionaires, and then one day they become millionaires and they're like, that was it? Why don't feel any different? What's going wrong with me? So I guess that was my feeling back then. And then I remember one day I went to give a presentation for one of our biggest clients. I was in love with my career, but I wasn't happy. I wasn't happy. So one day I did a presentation for one of our biggest clients. In the middle of that presentation, I fainted. And they took me to the hospital. And the doctor said to me, you are completely burnt out. We have to disconnect you from work for at least 6 months.
Wow.
And I thought to myself, what did I do? What did I do to me? Like, what's wrong with me? You know, that can't be my story. I love my career. And it's because of that I have to get disconnected from it. And I took a step back and I just saw myself for the very first time. I saw my real needs. And my real needs and my real wants was to go to a yoga class, very similar to your Starbucks thing. All I wanted was to go to do yoga. And that was the only thing that was making me so happy back then. So one morning I woke up, I said, you know what? I don't want this career. I want to find out what my true purpose is and who I am. I want to rediscover who I am. And then I followed these dots, these little signals. You know, the Starbucks coffee for me was the yoga thing. So I said, you know what? screw it. I done this PR thing, this career thing. It wasn't for me. Okay, no worries. Let me find out what makes me truly alive here and now. Life is too short. And decided to become a yoga teacher. And I started traveling the world as a yoga teacher. My family thought I lost my mind. My friends thought I was completely crazy. They were so much worried about me. But because I was following my intuition and my true passion, my true purpose, and what was making me really happy, joyful, very soon I said to myself, oh my God, I want to give this gift to others. So I started working with non-profits and charities. And very, very soon, I said to myself, so it was just about connecting the dots. I said, but wait a second, what if I would give this gift to people like I used to be myself, like stressed people who are in high, fast-paced environments, and see if I can help them feel better, regulate their nervous system, relax, enhance their focus, their concentration, boost their energy levels. And that's when I started offering this to corporates. And then within 3 months since I started being a yoga teacher, I was a sold-out yoga teacher, delivering yoga programs to corporates to the point that I couldn't serve any more corporates. And that was the next call, wake-up call. I was like, oh, but wait a second. If you have a business, you can actually have a team and serve more companies. So, and that's what I did. And it worked so incredibly well to the point that I was like, this cannot be that easy. It must be illegal to be that easy. But it was because I was just so aligned with my intuition, my gut instinct, our second brain, and I was able to follow the path of least resistance. And I'm so glad I did. So now every time I face, a dead end or discomfort or fear, I go back to that principle. What is the next most inspiring? What feels most soulful to you? That's the next step. Don't you worry about the how, right?
Exactly.
Just see the big picture and just take the next most, soulful step forwards.
I really love that, and it's so true. It's always this, as human beings, we get so caught up in the how that we completely delete the why. Who cares about the why? I am busy with my 500 to-do list, right? But it was the why that got you inspired in the first place, right? And I really love that because I do the same things, and now I use this other example, but I actually do it with myself all the time. So similar to you, the one thing, like my entire life, the one thing I've only ever wanted to do was every day was that I used to do a dance class a day, and then, many years later, I became one yoga class a day, and it's always the same thing. It's like, I just need my 1 hour for me, and it's sacred. And it's the same thing. So now, now I'm in Bangkok, and I've been going to a yoga studio here every morning, and but it's like what really lights me up, and not like the top Disney happy. Yes, of course, that's there at times, but really what makes me feel like me, like my one deep desire, is I go up and I swim on the roof, right? I swim on the roof, and I really just notice the silkiness of the water and the beauty of the sunshine on my skin. And then I do that yoga class, and I'm like, this was a great day. Like, that, like those two things. And of course I wake up and my brain is like, oh, we should do all these stuff. And I'm like, no. In the beginning of the day, the beginning is mine.
Yeah.
And it's like, and like you said, like, just start with that. And even if you're sitting down and you're trying to work something out, and your brain, your ego, that always gets very excited and wanting to be in charge of everything, and it's like, oh, you must do this and you must do that. If it doesn't feel like you're in flow, like if you're hitting a wall, somehow you can't find the solution, the best thing to do is always go, like, close your eyes, breathe into the body, and just ask yourself, just like you said, what is one joyful thing for me to do right now? Like, especially if it makes no sense. So for me, it would be like, put on your favorite music and jump around, or go to that yoga class right now. I don't give a shit about anything else. The only thing that has priority is my inner energy.
Yeah.
And when I attend to that, everything, like the whole world will fall into place.
Yes.
Like, because again, you are literally the biggest attractor of everything.
Totally.
And so our inner energy, and again, this is not something fluffy, this is science.
An embodied experience.
Embodied experience, right?
For both of us.
Yeah. And so I so love that you're saying this. And this, life is always unraveling, unfolding. And maybe one day we will sit and be doing a podcast and you'll be like, Josie, now I'm also a podcast host. I realized after the traveling the world, one day I woke up and I was like, I must speak to the people, right? And then that will be beautiful because we are always changing, right?
We do. That's beautiful what you said, because I asked you the other day, I said to you, how does it feel? Like my life is pivot after pivot, transition after transition, right? So it's like the TV presenter, the PR executive, then I was like the yoga teacher, and then I was the founder of a consultancy, a digital nomad, traveling the world in 34 countries while running my consultancy. Honestly, my younger self would never dream any of that extremely incredible, beautiful, magical things, right? But again, I'm thinking to myself, oh wow, I've done this 3 years journey around the world while working on my laptop, serving banks and law firms. And now here I am 5 years later, since I launched that consultancy, since I kind of ended this journey around the world and all those retreats and all these beautiful things. And I'm just again thinking to myself, but what now? And I'm asking myself, I haven't come up with the answers yet, right? I'm writing my book now, it's almost complete, I'm ready to publish it. I'm still running retreats, I'm still doing the talks, the programs, but there is a voice. And I can hardly even hear it. I hear it in my prayers, I hear it in my morning meditation, I hear it after a yoga session, I hear it when I have a conversation with a like-minded person like you, and I hear this voice and I'm like, okay, that was a wonderful journey, mind-blowing, but what's now? What's next? And I'm trying not to rush it or try to justify it or rationalize it or beat myself up for feeling this way, but I'm just trying to stay in silence and stillness and listen to that message and do the next step that feels soulful, it feels authentic, it feels me at each and every moment.
I really love that. And it's also to simplify as well, because it's so deep, and I just want to bring it into very, very simple words. If we don't know exactly where we want to go, we sit here and we're like, beach, mountain, we don't know, we're in a new country. Well, the only way to find out what's really drawing us in is to go out there. So we need to keep walking. So we don't stay in this beautiful apartment every day just going, is it the beach? Is it the mountain? Is it the waters? We leave the apartment and we keep walking. You and I, we're walking down the street and I will feel a pull. Maybe one day I'm like, I kind of feel like I need to go left, and you'll be like, I need to go right. And then if life is sweet, and it is, we might actually bump into each other on the beach because somehow we both ended up on the beach, but the routes were different. But the point is, we keep tuning into our own body, relax into it. There's no ego agenda of like, oh, I must do this, I must do that, blah, 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 right? It's just, what is the next one step? So when we're out in the world, what is that next one step that feels good?
Yes.
Really simple. Because we have to remember, as human beings, and this is something they never teach at school, every time you make a move, the universe responds. We always forget about the universe responding. We're just sitting there like on a strategic chessboard going, I do this, and then universe does this. And of course it's not like that. Thankfully, so I have like a saying I love to say is, thank you, universe, for delighting and surprising me. Thank you, universe, for delighting and surprising me.
That.
And that also hands over, like, I release this idea that I should know it all, have it all, whatever,
Yes.
I let it go. Like,
yes.
right. And that's so nice. It's like, how gorgeous, because if we woke up every day and we read our chapter of life, the Josephine book, the Alexandra book, there would be no need to get out of bed.
It's so true. And I love what you said, because so many people, they think because I'm in mental fitness, because I'm in well-being and nervous system regulation, I'm that kind of, perfect human being, does those pivots effortlessly from one stage to another. The reality is, I'm not like that. And I'll give you an example about the ego you described earlier. It just inspired me to think that when I did the consultancy, the first 3 years were so successful because, as I said, traveling, I had that portfolio of 50 companies, and then there were all types of people coming to me, and they were like, you have to monetize this further, you have to scale this, you have to take the next step, be more brave, do it this way. And it was like, okay, which way? And they were like, now all you have to do, as you said about the chess and the strategic moves, all you have to do is, now you have the clients, you have the programs, you have the experts. All you have to do is just digitize, productize this, make it a startup, be a founder of a startup, get funding, and then you'll be famous and rich and this and that. And I remember, because back then I was in a clear state of mind, and I was like, yeah, you know what, that sounds logical. Oh yeah, you know what, that sounds rational. Yeah, maybe that's the right thing to do. But it was coming from insecurity. It was coming from a space of lack and not abundance. It was coming from a place of not knowing who I was and stepping into my power. And I said, yeah, I'm going to do that. And I launched a startup. Through hustling and grinding, I got 5 companies on that startup. So I had early traction, the MVP, a great team. I ticked every box. And then I didn't get the funding. And it wasn't because I didn't get the funding that I decided to pose this as a venture. It was how I was feeling that year. That year of my life, through hustling and grinding, I felt the emptiest. I felt drained constantly. I felt burned out again. I was like, wait a second, I just joined that game because I want to serve people. I want to help others to distress, practice mindfulness, find their balance. And here I am in this middle of chaos, trying to navigate all those different components. And I do, but it feels so not me. It felt like I was living another person's life. And all this because I followed the playbook, right? What's the right next thing to do, instead of what my instinct is saying. Because when I did the consultancy, it came from within and didn't came from an external source.
100%, yeah.
So yeah.
No, I love it. I love it so much. Thank you so much. This is so juicy, and it's so nice to spend this time with you, because I'm also just sitting here, and we live in a really noisy world, and in a world where there's a really nice saying by Carl Jung, and he says, the world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, it will tell you. Yes. and is that fair? So it's also January for me, and I'm also, in January you always reflect and you go, next, and and again I was up there swimming. I'm always physical. I'm out there swimming, and this morning, and I was like, it was really interesting. And I just in my head, I was like, shut the fuck up. This is me to my thoughts. I was like, this is the greatest moment. Actually, I just want to enjoy this moment. Mm-hmm. And so I did. But it's again, I'm just sharing that very human element. Listen, no one is immune to outer world, right? It doesn't matter how much you meditate or this and that, or how much you follow your own path. Of course I hear all the voices in my head. But just like you, I just continue to rebel against them. You know, unless it feels right. It's just a thought. It's in your head. Fine. You can be in there. I'm not going to act upon it unless my body, my heart goes, yes, I can't not do this, you know?
Yes.
Because exactly it, like, if your deepest wish is actually you just want to go to yoga every day, Josie wants to have a good Starbucks, you know? Like, listen, we can go out and we'd be exploring life and all of that. And also, you know, there's everything to be said about experience. You know, you had to experience what you had to experience to get to the point within yourself where you met yourself in a way where you were like, I actually want to stay with you in here. You know, like, and I feel exactly the same. I want to stay with you in here. But I had to go everywhere else outside of myself to finally go, oh, she's here. And I actually really like her. And actually you and I, you know, Josie to Josie, we can just hang out on that rooftop and do yoga and have a Starbucks for 5 hours a day. Because why not? Like,
absolutely.
You know.
And they say, you know what? They say, watch what you wish for. And this has been the story of my life so many times. You know, I wanted to be a PR executive and do this career. It was nothing comparing to what I had in mind. I was like, this is my dream. I've realized my dream. And now here I am. And this hell. Or it was when I launched the startup. Oh, now my dream is to do the startup, right? And then I did the startup and I was like, it cannot be real. Like, this cannot be my life. Why did I wish to be here?
But it's so interesting because you thought the reward was something else.
Exactly. And it came from the wrong place. It didn't came from the place that you've said, oh, let me go with Josie to do this and that and just come back to my center. Come back to my inner child. Because this child, this center will whisper to me the right thing. What's the truly authentic, beautiful, unapologetically me next step to do instead of what the society is telling me. So going inwards through swimming in your pool, a yoga session, a Starbucks coffee, going within, it's always the best thing. And this is the secret recipe because it makes you more magnetic, it makes you ready to attract the right opportunities, it makes you more embodied, it makes you more intuitive, so you know things before they even happen. It gives you serendipity moments, it gets you into crazy quantum leaps. The quantum leaps I've experienced with my consultancy, traveling the world. My family thought I was doing magic tricks. No one could believe any of that. And it was because I was so present. I was so myself. I was so much loving that little inner child with all her flaws and all her insecurities and all her doubts. I loved her fully. And that was the force, the energy that led me to all the next things, the beautiful things, the miracles that happened in my life. And I'm so grateful.
I love that. Thank you so much, Alexandra. We have to finish.
Oh my God.
It's so sad, I know. Normally I ask people for their soul message for humanity, but I feel like you already did it.
Yeah.
I think
Same.
right? Honestly, it's just been so beautiful having you here. Thank you so much for your openness, your courage, your fire, but also your desire and your willingness and readiness and steadiness to share your vulnerability with us and the rawness of being a human being with a feeling, breathing heart, you know. We're here to be alive, to feel and be moved by life, only to return right back home again. So
I love that. And I just want to say about the little things we've said, maybe that's the message. The little things, the yoga thing, the Starbucks coffee, the swimming, those little things have a compounding effect. So when we invest our energy into those little self-care things, magic happens. magic follows. Always. I'm a huge believer because I've seen that in my own life. So thank you so much for inviting me, because I've had such a wonderful time. I didn't expect any of that. It felt like I was with a very, very good friend, and we had a conversation from the heart. So thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. We will send all your links in the show notes. And to wonderful listeners out there, it's been a pleasure as always. And I think, from behalf of me and Alexandra, just take the next soulful step, and your body will share it. Forget about the how, but remember your why. Thank you so much. Now I have to do the thing. Okay.
Are you